Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another One Piece chapter review. Chapter 1133. 1153. The Birth of Loki. Sorry, I'm already fumbling before I even begin, but yeah. This chapter is basically the follow-up on the last one in which Loki, see, you've got the Straw Hat, the new giant pirates ready to head out to save everyone while Luffy and Julian stay behind after learning that Loki has a bit of as Loki tries to then explain what happened to 14 years ago when they killed their father. During the course of this chapter, you also learn that Gaban reveals to Zoro that he has a Conqueror's Haki and he didn't really know. Sanji asks if he has it, but we don't get an answer to that. Luffy asks Loki to join his crew. He refuses. And let's see. After all this, we get a bit of story. We get a glimpses of let's see what happened. Like it seems like King Howard was seemingly had the same thing happen to him with Dory and Broggy, but we can't 100% confirm it yet. Also, we got a little bit of Shanks. We also learned that Shanks was also there during the time when the king was assassinated, visiting Scott Gaban, and learned that he was also a child of destiny. As well as we learned that apparently King Howard was a bit more of a violent and rotten person when he was 45 or 15 years old in terms of giant years. Back when Doggy and Broggy were alongside him ruling the seas, I guess, causing havoc. So yeah. We have that. Let's see, sort of what happened last chapter. We're about to see arguably how King Harold became like a scumbag to arguably the person that would become the best king of Elbaf. How that will happen? Well, we have to find out. But of course, before we get to that, we've got the Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Circuit Pilgrimage, Volume 27, Damia Ringo, Kiku, Konjojo, and Boss Ocho, where we see Kiku has become the daimyo of, I believe, Ringo, which I think that's where was that where all the graves were, I think? Yeah. Well, I think Ryuma's body was supposed to be buried, so she's become the daimyo there. I suppose that's good for her, as she did manage to, I guess she did manage to survive in the end. I think most people would probably say this character probably should be dead. I do like that. I suppose the technically female samurai and I guess the female yakuza boss are now ruling this part of the daimyo, and Yamato is coming to greet them. In some ways, some might say, "Oh, this is all the trans characters meeting up." But I guess it depends on how you view Yamato, I guess, in terms of gender identity. But yeah. Let's see. Granted, I'm curious to see how much longer Yamato's cover story will be now that the main part has been completed. I just assume Yamato will probably explore more of Wano, but we'll have to wait and see how much of Wano Yamato will actually see, because I assume at some point we'll be cutting back to Wano, as Blackbeard will probably have to attack it to get Pluton. So, yeah. Anyway, with that out of the way, onto the actual chapter. The chapter begins explaining a little bit of how Howard, when he was younger, lived out a rather unhinged childhood with Dory and Broggy, causing all kinds of havoc thanks to their strength and ancient giant's blood, as well as his noble status. He let's see, his ego sort of inflated of himself and got a bit cocky and arrogant, as no one could really stop him from growing into a royal pain. So, yeah, he is basically due to his strength, his title, he became just full blown arrogant, if you will, and not really caring about anyone outside of Elbaf, thinking them all to be weak and boring. That even you get a glimpse of his strength where he's able to just pick his nose and flick, as we see here, as you just see the guards just agreeing with just everything he is saying. Arguably even because he's their king, or they're terrified of him. But yeah, oops, no spoilers there. Oops, no spoilers there. We then cut to some place called the Bunt Kingdom in the New World, where this guy is announcing, telling the tale of this 10 feet Jar woman who saying that she's one of the giants from the rare land of Elbaf. Let's see, their name is Ida, as she is just seemingly got like Elbaf, her ancient giant horns, and it's like going, Rah! So to make her scary, as this sort of announcer just saying, step away from the cage, you don't want to be hurt, as you see a bunch of civilians here, all seemingly running from terror. But you kind of notice like there's at least this one guy that's smiling and hugging, so it seems like this might be a bit of an act. But let's see, King Harold sees this, let's see, through a telescope and finds that turning a giant into a sideshow. It sort of insults him about how nervous. So he basically ends up attacking, well, the kingdom to rescue the giant. Let's see, don't mess with Elbaf and think it's a joke. Who's laughing now? Let's see, Ida, now having the horns removed, let's see, goes like, who are you? With him going like, no need to thank him. I'm the king of Elbaf. He won't stand for his homeland being disrespected. But before he can say anything, she ends up slapping him. Anything more after that, she ends up slapping him. His guardsmen are like shocked that she would actually do this and crying out for the king. Harold is completely confused, like, what? Why on earth are you doing this? Completely dumbfounded that someone would slap him, if you will. As she demands that the ship be turned around and all that stuff, telling them that she needs to apologize since that so many people got hurt back there as a result of what Harold did. He's going like, he gets mad saying, what are you, insane? Let's see, why do you care about this mini human kingdom anyway? Let's see, and she ends up beating him up again. She gets mad saying, do I have to hit you again? The guard's still crying out the king's name as she reveals that they actually saved her life when she washed up shore and gave her a job to do. So that was basically just an act just to try and draw in tourists, as they were kind enough to help her make a living until she fully healed. And this is when she starts to grab him, tearfully going like, what do you mean by tiny humans? Saying, just because you happen to be born huge and you are convincingly strong and brutish, do you think that actually makes you better than humans? How can you be so arrogant? It's pathetic. Saying that this is why all giants everyone thinks all giants are barbaric and brutish as Elbaf. So, yeah, giving a bit of like, showing like what other giants not from Elbaf have to deal with the reputation from those that are. As we got a hint from that from Sol during the Urahara flashback with Robin. So, let's see. As she goes, like, just seems to get King Harold to think just because I was born huge. Let's see. So we got Ida sort of. Hold on. Let me just see what images I have. Oh yeah. You've got Ida here with like out the horns and all that stuff. Come back to the village to help them. Let's see, rebuild and all that. You see the announcer from earlier smiling at Ida, with the guard saying, so should we just set sail to the king? Saying like, why? Let's see, how going like, why are you all spacing out? Tell them to, and he orders them to go help her, calling them you ninnies. And this town is as tiny as a model. It's easy work. As they go like, yes, your majesty, scared about his angry demands. So yeah. So they end up helping out. You see, I'm going a bit far. Where can I find the image? Here we go. We've got like they've managed to complete rebuild building. They're celebrating and hugging and all that stuff. Let's see. The giants comment about how different their construction is compared to theirs. Let's see. They're going to say we should tell everyone about what we've seen here in Elbaf and about how these houses are built. And he wants to bring apparently home some of the spices, as they never tasted flavors before. So the guards here seem to be enjoying the sort of culture that these humans have made. Let's see, as everyone's celebrating. And then you get as you get them also talk about how hardy their fabric is. Ida offers King Harold a hand to help them and go apologize. Let's see. Apologize to the king, who's clearly still mad, but yet. Let's see, as you've got some of the giants just talking, yet so fine, these humans are more skilled than they realize, so it might be Harold. And this is where after he's apologized. Hold on, let me just find it. Let's see. He's got kids now jumping on and asking him questions, and eventually he comes out celebrating with them with the Nika dance as part of Elbaf culture. Let's see. As I think Ida asked, have you ever, if you have to see things from their eye level, Howard, nothing in this world is meant to be destroyed. As you see them having like, let's see, a time, you see him go on a bit of an adventure, if you will, talking as she talks about how she was born on Sawamian Island in South Blue. Let's see. I believe let's see, Saul is in South Blue, so you've got some theories there, but I'm not going to go to that yet. And says after some twists and turns, let's see, the path of her life brought her here. So which, as King Howard refers to, like, so you cross the serpent's blood, which I believe, let's see, Dory and Broggy mentioned that before, saying that attack could destroy anything except that. Which she just says, oh, you're talking about the red line, which is what says correct and why she can't go home, as it seems to be, as it's like nearly impossible to go back once you've, let's see, crossed it and all that stuff. As you see them exploring, meeting native people from Ireland, some of them drawing weapons, but they're like, oh, look at these tiny little fellas. Then you see him helping them catch like a big fish. He offers her either to come to Elbaf, as they're not as barbaric as you say. And she goes like, okay, maybe I was mistaken about you lot. The guards didn't comment about how their king's attitude has changed, finding it a little bit creepy, but they're wondering it won't last long. And then we cut to like 105 years ago in Elbaf, as Howard declares to his citizens he was to atone for all my countless crimes. This surprises the citizens because they're like, what has gotten to their king? As hold on, let me go. Here we go. As he says, look, I may be out of the country more often than he wish, but it is only to join hands with our neighbors and ask them to teach us their culture, saying if we learn from the rest of the world, we can make our land and lives richer. You get like civilians comments about, what about Dougie and Broggy raising, hell across the seas there? And he comments how they're good friends of his, but they've always been an eccentric, saying that they actually call you with humankind and follow a code of honor, which one of the crowd counts as true, and then goes like how it doesn't hurt that they can fight, of course, but goes like if they pose too much of a threat to the other nations, we may have to rein them in. And this is where you get Zhao and I believe Jorah, of the two elderly giants. Let's see, one of them, of course, was killed by Big Mom, and one, of course, is now got a sword in his head. Goes like him, let's see, I think Joel last thing about turn about with Joel going like meeting you people took him on a journey, it seems. As I think one of them says, how no Elbaf is blessed with good luck, as Ida has now seemingly been welcomed into Elbaf society. As we see Harold do a bit of a montage, let's see, with his ship, let's see, and going out doing diplomacy, writing notes. Let's see, as Ida explains about diplomats to him, which help deepen ties and friendships between nations, with him wondering so what, we're taking hostages? And she says, not like that. It means that countries can't get to be friends unless people in them are connected somehow. So it's it's sort of like a getting someone to interact with a country you want to make relations with. So basically that, you've got that for a bit, and let's see, and then it cuts time to 81 years ago, where the fisherman village in eastern Elbaf, where apparently a baby's been born to let's see, Howard and Ida, which of course is none other than, of course, Hedruden. Let's see, the member of, the future member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, if you will. But as, let's see, Howard wants to celebrate, thanking them all, thinking that Ada and him now can. But these sort of elder giants of, or Elbaf elders, if you will, not the name Jarl and Yol, who seem to have high sway in Elbaf's government, tell Harold, he's forbidden from marrying either, and that the royal line must remain pure of blood. And this is where oops, went a bit ahead there. Did I show this image of these two giants? I'm not sure I did actually, but yeah. But anyway, here we go. Harold apologizes to Eda, saying that he can't continue their relationship because this is just how the culture works here in Elbaf. Can't get emotional offense against it. But saying that as one of the other giants says, you're always welcome in our village, Eda. But Eda is fine with it as long as you get to live in the same country, as her son gets to live in the same country as his dad. His son would be happy going like, isn't that right, Hedrudan? Which you get Hedrudan smiling, of course, to that. And then we end up meeting the woman who ends up being a sort of Loki's mother, if you will. Her name, of course, is Estrid, as the elders say, this is your true betrothed, Harold. Estrid, his blood is pure and ancient. She is one worthy of being our queen. And she's like your standard beautiful lady that Oda has. That's interesting, despite being an ancient giant. She has none of the ancient giant's blood. She has none of its horns. As she talks about how she was born in the Brewers village to the north and study apparently something called geomancy, declaring that it's, as you get the introduction of Elbaf Brewers village prestigious daughter Estrid, as she says, is my fate to love you for the rest of my life. Forget all about that woman and child to the east. Nusando show her sort of shallow side with how and that's trying to find some ways to respond, but she declares this sort of with her sort of I guess you could say geomancy sort of belief, saying, good heavens, the spirit is escaping to the east. Your good luck is getting away. We must close those windows at once. This sort of confuses Harold and the guards, and she declares that mirror, it's a 5-star kill position, destroy it at once. And then she introduced King Harold to what would be apparently this noble steed that apparently Loki would end up killing, which let me just get it up. There we go. So this is the noble steed. This sort of horse with these sort of, I guess you could say, spiky flame things with 8 legs. As its name is apparently Alsa, the horse of good fortune. Thanks a gift from the clan, the perfect mount for the king, and it's no doubt this horse will bring him great luck. With the giant guards talk about how enormous and wondering why it has 8 legs. Heck, it's technically better than it's even bigger than King Harold, so yeah, that's actually quite a big horse, really. She declares the guards to bring all the jewels and gold and treasury into her chambers, saying that this is to ensure the fortunes of wind and earth are spent in His Majesty's direction. She also says to inform the Scully maids that from this day forward, she and the king will only eat on the fine silver platter, if you will, to eat all their meals. With one of the guards' comments feels like she's just after luxury, so yeah. And anyway, then we cut to 70 years ago, where you've got apparently it's described as an era when the rigors of the sea made it difficult to maintain trade between islands. So Elbaf's navigation skills were the envy of the nations, as Harold was trying to teach other people how to do it. So he designed their ships, particularly saying that there's a star to the north that never moves called the Pole Star, which fascinates some people. And then he goes back to tell people how he went to see Fishman Island, people being amazed he met mermaids, as he said he did, and fishmen, and their kingdom with all the fish blood live, saying that they're talking about how King Neptune was born during this time. So yeah, King Neptune is about 70 years old, so yeah. And talks about how not only just the fishermen and mermaids celebrate, but all the sea creatures as well about it, which gets everyone fascinated. And then we cut to Aurus Castle 63 years ago, while Howard was away from home, where let's see, Estrid has given birth to Loki as one of the I think, what's it, bridesmaid or den mothers? I forget the term, but one of the wet mothers, was it? Or nurse mothers or something. Let's see, tells the queen that congratulations, it's a healthy boy. As Estrid says his name is Loki, the king and I decided on it. Now she declares them that she wants her baby to be shown. And this is where we get, let's see, an image of, let's see, Loki for the first time. Let's see, and the first time we get to see his eyes, and they look all sort of dark and demonish with like the little baby horns. Estrid, is horrified by this, thinking it terrifying. The bride's den mothers, I think, try to calm her down. She goes like, "This cannot be my son. This is horrid." They try to play her to calm down. She declared she wants the kingdom to be told that it's a stillborn. We see they're shocked you can't be serious, as baby Loki just wants to reach out for his mother. She calls it it's a curse. Just look at the baby. It's a monster. As you get Loki sort of like trying to grasp for empty air, but no hands really reached to envelop his own. As Estrid does let's see, arguably one of the most horrid things you can do as a like parent or mother. Let's see, and let's see, grabs the baby. Let's see, the staff try to plead that it's a royal heir, and let's see, and throws him off like the tree in the top of the kingdom, if you will. As they go like the most unfortunate. Now she goes, the most unfortunate lives of all living creatures is the ones whose very existence is denied by its mother in the moment of its birth. As she says, let's see, tells everyone that she bared no child. Do not tell a soul about this. As she starts to like pack, stealing all the jewels that she can. Say, if the captain of the guard saying what she's planning to do, saying that she wants to go home, saying she never wants to bear another child. Let's see, as a guard says, "Your Majesty, head guardsman," saying that down in the underworld, this guy is just completely shocked. Estrid's like, "What about the underworld?" As we then see perhaps the most insane feat for, let's see, not even like the Yonko could do as a child, but Loki as a baby climbing up, let's see, the tree to reach back home, if you will. And we see that, let's see, when he fell or when he was down there, he killed a giant bear. And at this point, Queen Estrid has fell ill. As she says, just keep saying to get rid of the child, saying that there was a prophecy before it was ever born, saying that King Harold would die by his own son. The captain of the guard tries to say this is nonsense, as you got a narration as Harold is learning that Harold is busy struggling against his problems with national relations. And he's complaining about how the world government has stepped in to block his path again and wondering why countries can't be free to decide for themselves. As we got Ida talking to King Hadruden, who's a bit now, the age where we first saw him in the Big Mom flashback. So he goes like, "Hey, I can see the baby too. He's your brother." And he's got like, "He's not your son, so he's not my brother." But Ida's going like, "Aw, you're sweet even when you're like that," trying to just telling Hadruden to just be nice to your little new brother. As we get a shiller of like Loki of when he becomes a kid. As it's then declared, all the narration says all the misfortunes that would fall upon Elbaf would be known as Loki's curse, ending the chapter. Let's see, and with like this insane feat from Loki. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's probably time for my overall thoughts. Let's see. So yeah, I've got quite a few. So first of all, let's see, where are we? I do like how we learned that the reason why King Harold, was the way it was because as strong as he was, and the fact that he got a royal noble status, he became quite the arrogant king because no one could stop him. It's clear that at least back then, he was the strongest giant, and with Doggy and Broggy were like the sort of second and third strongest respectively. In some ways, if they all became pirates together, you could have had a sort of giant monster trio, if you will. Though, of course, I do think Howard is probably much stronger than both Dory and Broggy, but yeah. But you do get to see a bit of a friendship there. So I do like how that explanation is there. I do like also how it seems as a result of his strength, he's just completely bored and finds every other human, let's see, nation to be too weak for him, and then he just doesn't care if he destroys. I do like how you see like the guards just trying to just seem like just agree with everything he says. Yeah, so you know, out of Finn stuff. But I like the fact that let's see, we end up seeing that he ended up changing his ways because, well, he basically met, I guess you could say, the right woman, Ida, who was putting on a bit of an act. He got mad, thinking that he did the right thing of saving the giant, but not realizing it was all an act. And she ends up giving him a piece of his mind. But yeah, and then he eventually sort of falls in love with this woman, if you will, which I will admit, let's see, I do like the fact that Ida here is very different from the standard conventions of like women that you get like older standards of women and those that end up falling in love in relationships, because normally, let's see, as we see with Estrid here. This is like, oh, there's of course standard woman of beauty, and usually the ones that are not evil and usually good, pure hearts, if you will, and just like misunderstood. But nope, here we've got someone that's not necessarily this would fit like the standard beauty with like facial features, if you will, but in some ways, I do think it sort of matches, because if Loki did actually seem to have fallen in love with Lola, it goes to show you that, I guess, let's see, Howard and his son Loki have different standards of like beauty, I guess, than compared to like what someone like Sanji would do if he acted, if you will. So, but yeah, I do like how her philosophy is like, just because we're born big, that doesn't mean that we have the right to trample on others. And then it's like, let's see, she expresses all the sort of emotions to Howard about how other giants feel about Elbaf, because we, like I said, mentioned earlier, we did see that Soul. Let's see, all other giants, due to like Elbaf's reputation of being savages, all giants are associated that. So every giant has to probably seemingly try and not behave like that, just to get everyone to think, okay, not all giants are bad, because it's like, it goes to show you what stereotypes of certain groups of people can leave sort of like a bad reputation, as we see in the real world. Let's see, quite often where stereotypes get all kinds of things like negative of certain people and cultures. So yeah, so you kind of like have other group, and some groups are just guilty by, let's see, just guilt by association. So yeah, I do like how you got that, and I do like that this is, let's see, was what started King Howard's change to become like a better person, to like arguably probably the best King Elbaf ever had, and maybe even arguably the best king that we've seen in One Piece so far. Perhaps even a better king than King Cobra, which is quite the high standard, because everyone is like, this is like the best king that we've seen on the standard, the best king. But yeah. But I do think it's like a nice little character journey you've got with Harold getting getting a lesson about, let's see, helping others and all that stuff, and eventually getting his guards to help out. Let's see, apologizing, even doing the Nika dance with children. I thought that was nice, and who knows, maybe it's like the fact that the giants do the Nika dance that some people mimic it, and who knows, some cultures end up learning about it, though I won't hope these cultures keep that Nika dance away from the world government officials when they're about. So yeah, so I do like that, and he comes back to his home talking about how he wants to be a better king, which surprises many of the citizens, and we end up learning that, okay, Doggy and Brogy are actually nicer to humans with a code of honor kind of stuff than we are led to believe, because I think this is Oda's way of trying to say that, okay, yeah, Dory and Broggy were these pirates that terrorized the seas, but he wants to make it clear that, no, they are decent people. They don't, let's see, just generally, let's see, just that means they harmed humans whenever they meet them. It's just like, they just did their warrior customs, but they had a code of honor to it, and let's see, they just ended up as a result, they just ended up fighting everyone. Granted, it just might be this oldest way of just trying to not make them as bad as you could say they probably should be, but yeah. I do like how the two real elder giants here are just talking about how Elbaf is like Ritzy going to be changing, and how Ritzy they're blessed to like have King Harold as he is, and like Eda to help that and all that. So I do like seeing that with these two guys. So yeah. Glad that he managed to meet people on his journey. I do like how we get to see Harold learning from Eda, like how to like let's see. Oops, wrong image. Let me just get it. Let me just get one up. Yeah, I'll just use this one for the moment. How he learned from Eda like about how to do diplomacy, how to get people more connected, saying like when at first you might have but you got like though his Elbaf customs kind of mixed up with like the whole let's see, oh wait, this is hostage, but no, it's like having people interact with each other and like build a connection. So having like diplomats build a connection with like have a giant come around and build relations with these kingdoms, and then vice versa. So there's like that. I also do like how we learned that, okay, let's see, she was from the South Blue, and due to like misfortunes of travel, ended up crossing the red line. I do like how the serpent blood thing has come again. I do wonder if the red line might be turned into a giant sea, let's see, a sort of Dromanda sort of like snake thing. Though granted, I think it's just more of a metaphor. Eh? We'll have to wait and see how, let's see, the red line will be let's see taken out, and what the world nobles connections is to it, but stuff like that. But yeah, but I do like how let's see, I do like how let's see Harold offers her to come to live with Elbaf and say it's not as bad as she thinks, which she accepts, which I probably should have mentioned earlier. But I'm talking about all the stuff I like. Granted, I will admit, let's see, hold on, let me just, let's see, from the fact that she comes from South Blue, the same place as Saul, has led to many theorize that she might be from the same family as him. And that means she and Hadrudin are carriers of the D, but frankly, I don't think they're members of the D clan. I think it's just a coincidence. They might be from the same island, and who knows, Saul might know either at least some people that knew Eda or something, but I think Hadrudin is just sort of like just too weak to be, and doesn't have like the strength, the willpower that most Will of D people generally have. So I don't think he's a D, but he is at the moment a follower of the D, since he's declared to be Luffy's subordinate. So whether Luffy likes it or not, but yeah. But I do like also that they were able to develop time in this relationship and then have a child with Hadrudin. But unfortunately, due to like customs, which you normally see with royals anyway, it's like nope, you can't marry a commoner from the outside world. You have to marry a pure blood noble giant. So yeah, and even though Harold is king, he can't really it seems that even he has limited powers of like who he can marry, so they force him this other one. But I do like how Eda's just like, as long as her son gets to be in the same land as his father, he doesn't mind. Let's see her current position. In the very least, seems popular with the village that she's currently in. But it is nice to actually now see some of these, even if it's just these silhouette figures of some of the people that just would not accept Hadrudin as the next king because they view him as a unpure, giant without, tainted blood, if you will. So, yeah. Anyway, a sec, I'm just going to just quickly check. Oops, wrong tab. Oh, we've got a bit of comments from the Sleepy Bean piece saying, "Greetings, Sleepy Bean here," and saying he's returned from his long quest. Okay, it must have been a very long one. The journey was intense and hard, yet knowledge filled with wisdom. I have missed much, though I have read the recent chapter, but the ones before, not yet. Okay. It says, reading 1153. I haven't. Okay, fair enough. You're more than welcome to stick around if you want, but Yitzi, there will be spoilers to the chapter, so yeah, Yitzi, listen to this review at your own request, though of course you could read this chapter while I'm giving my thoughts. It's up to you, Sleepy Bean Piece, but yeah, I'm just giving my thoughts right now. So yeah, anyway, I do like how, in a sense, we end up meeting, like, we actually get to meet also Loki's mother here. So it's like argument sense, like, okay, you can't marry either. So yeah, here's your choice. And I do like how, from what we've seen of this character, she's got the standard older beauty thing, but from everything we've seen of her, she's a rather shallow and vain woman. Interestingly, I've seen a bunch of YouTubers who've commented on this chapter. Some feel like she represents more of Boa Hancock's more selfish sort of side, or Nami's more money-loving side, depending on who you're asking. But which I wouldn't be surprised if this is like this would spark more of like shipping debates between those that support Luffy and Nami, and or Luffy and Boa Hancock, with some saying Estrid would be more like this. Boa Hancock would be more like Estrid if Luffy married her, or something like no, this is what would be like if Luffy married Nami with like all the treasure stuff. So who knows? Let's see. I could see that conflict being a thing, but I don't know. It depends on how One Piece shipping wars are. I don't think I think it's a bit, from what I can tell, it's tame compared to like other ones, but it's more of like the power scaling is more of like the more chaotic part of the One Piece fandom's debates, if you will, between Yonko versus Admirals. So there's that, but yeah. But she's quite easily okay. It is interesting that she seems to have this sort of geomancy belief, which seems to like talk about good luck and all these sort of wins and all that stuff. But granted, this might be her excuse to just say like, ignore this woman that now lives in the east or west. Was it the east? Let me just take a look. But yeah, it's the east and focus more into the west, I think, where she is. So just tries to get her how to forget about her his first love, and well, his newborn son. Talks about let's see. Granted, she sort of baffles the guards, and let's see how to some extent he tries to just protest a bit, but about I guess trying to ignore Yoda and Howard, but at the very least seems to at least accommodate to her demands at the very least. Since I think he's like, okay, I'm not going to be around much, but okay, and all that stuff. But I do need to produce an heir with this woman, so yeah. Let's see. So, but she's quite shallow, telling everyone to close certain windows, destroy mirrors that don't suit her tastes. But yeah, let's see. Because like, apologize, I do not want spoilers. That's fair. And going like, we'll meet again in the next review of yours. That's fair. So yeah, probably if I can, I'll try and do it on Monday, maybe Tuesday. But if not, I'll be hopefully. It will have to be a bit later, but I don't know. I'm hoping to try and do it on Monday. So yeah, peace be upon you. Right, thank you, Sleepy Bean Piece. I hope you enjoy the chat. I hope you enjoy the chapter, because I'm enjoying it right now. So yeah, but other than that, I do like how we end up learning that. I do like how we meet the sort of good fortune horse that was end up killing, which I will admit, I do like the creativity of Oda's design of like just how large he is, sort of the spiky flame mane bits on his back, and the fact that he's got 8 legs. This is like such a weird feat. I'm not sure if this is some reference to some Norse mythology or some Japan mythology or whatever. I assume mostly Norse, but yeah, I do like at the very least it's like, okay, I offer this noble speed of good fortune to him. I do like how it seems King Howard's face is just like, oh, okay, fair enough. But the guards are more like, wow, that's enormous. But yeah. But you see more of like Estrid's shallow side of saying, move all the jewels and see to her bedroom for good luck. But the guards is like, you just clearly just want the luxury living. and then demands like you only eat like and like is also clear when she wants everything eaten on a silver platter. So it's like, yeah, she just wants to live a life of luxury. So yeah, which I do see why some might compare to Nami in this. The other stuff I could probably see being Boa Hancock, but I don't know. I guess it depends on who you want to ask. So yeah. But regardless, how like Stu of course goes on his journeys and even met like I think he even crosses to Wano and even went to Fishman Island, two places that are tied to the Straw Hats. And also talking about how we learned that this time was a bit difficult to travel, but Albarth had navigation and skills to go around, which got people jealous. But it seems Howard was trying to help people as much as he can, offering them knowledge such as like this pole star up the north that never moves, and just maybe even helping them build ships and all that stuff that will work. And then coming back to tell his civilians about when all the stuff he learned, like learning Neptune's birth, which I guess you kind of forget, like just how old Neptune is sometimes. But yeah, he's mad at sea, and how like everyone's celebrating the kingdom with fishermen and mermaids, and also I guess general sea creatures. But yeah, but arguably it's when we finally get to see baby Loki born that we just see how shallow Estrid is when, okay. When she gives birth, and let's see the name of the son, and then to see it in the moment she sees Loki like this, which I will admit he does look like a demon maybe with this, but it's not his fault. But I will admit it is interesting to see the eyes, and I'm wondering how these eyes will play out. I think Mr. Mojo has done some like Loki has some sort of advanced future sight hockey, if you will, maybe similar to what he theorizes might be Long's younger sister, Madame Shirley. But who knows? I could be wrong on that part. But yeah. But since he looks so monstrous to her, she just completely rejects the child, and and goes like just throw it out and saying she had no child, declared stillborn. Just show how shallow she is, declaring she never wants to have a child again, and trying to take all the jewels. So it's like she clearly didn't really like truly love Howard and just wanted that life of luxury. And when she got a child not to her standards. She did a sort of Norse Greek mythology. I think I guess depending on which version, either Zeus or Hera, if you will, tosses him down, and where Hephaestus was born ugly and then tossed down the mountains, and he had to climb back up. Which I will admit, this is arguably with Loki the most insane feat that you've seen a young child do. Which he's not even a child; he's basically a baby born on the first day. So it's like baby born on the first day, and he's not only killed a giant monstrous bear, but he's climbed up back to like to the upper world, if you will, from the underworld. So it's like this is insane feat. This is arguably the most insane feat we've gotten in One Piece. I'm not sure if anything could top it, unless maybe, who knows, Emu when he was born. Let's see how he had Conqueror's Haki and had many people bow to his will or something, but I don't know. I think some people said that this might be a bit of fan fiction writing here, which I can honestly see because there's no way a baby could do all that. But Loki is probably, the closest to like a god, but unless you're like a god-like, god figure. But Loki is arguably being named after like the Norse god of mischief, is probably the closest you're going to get to a semi-god, like insane feat of this magnitude. So yeah, in many ways I think people have compared it to the situation with Kaido, so but of course this is much more impressive. So I think anyone that says that baby Loki is not Yonko level can probably, I think you've been debunked, because I think at this point it's clearly that he is one of the strongest characters and probably a Yonko level character, which would probably explain, which arguably would make sense, because why else would Shanks be officially recognized as like the fourth emperor after one of the four emperors after beating Loki 6 years ago, which isn't yet confirmed, but it's clear that Shanks beat Loki to get the title at this point. So yeah, he is arguably strong, and arguably this might be the case of why Loki might not actually join the crew, just not to disrupt the sort of monster trio dynamics, if you will, because Loki is arguably too strong. Arguably Sanji and so would arguably probably get stronger as they're going to be like the future wings of the Pirate King. But at the moment, I definitely say Loki is probably definitely stronger than those two right now. And who knows, maybe even stronger than Luffy. We don't know yet. But yeah, arguably insane feats with Loki there. So yeah, regardless of like, despite wanting his mother's love, isn't getting it just because of how vain she is. So yeah, overall, I do like how we got Howard's story of like how he was an arrogant king growing up, and then causing havoc until he met like Eden, this right woman, if you will, who sought him out and talking about how to see things from a human's perspective. And this teaches him to be more about cooperation and all that stuff and be a good king. Let's see, fell in love with Rita, but unfortunately, due to the circumstances, cannot bear fruit. We meet like who, despite the fact that she's not the standard One Piece beauty thing, you get Estrid, who's more of the shallow woman. So cruel that she doesn't even love her son and tossed him out of like the kingdom, much like all the guards dismay and the staff, and it's like thinking she's gone mad, declaring him to like be he will curse the land and kill the father. Which, on one hand, let's see, the latter one ended up being true, but not for the circumstances everyone seemingly seems to believe. But yeah, so we got that. Let's see. Howard's adventures and just like the insane Loki feats. Overall, I think I give this chapter a 9 out of 10. I might have given it a 10 out of 10, but I do feel like the whole Dory and Broggy bit, about, they seem to have this code of honor. Humans is just Oda's way of just saying that, they're not as bad as I described them initially, but who knows? Who knows? But yeah, overall, I think it's a very good chapter. I enjoyed it. I hope everyone else enjoyed it. And I hope everyone enjoys listening to what I had to say in this review. Sleepy Bean Peace 10K. Thank you for commenting in, even though you hadn't yet quite read the chapter, but I hope you've read the chapter by the time I do the next chapter's review at some point after its official release. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber signing off. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye for now.